everyone, and welcome to the 30-Day Summit, where Russell Brunson has brought together a collection of his top 2 comic club and 8-figure award winners to share with you how they would literally survive and begin to rebuild their business in just 30 days if they lost it all. My name is Bailey Richard, and right now I'm delighted to be speaking with Pat Rigsby. Pat Rigsby is a business coach who has built over 25 businesses in the fitness industry, with 7 becoming million-dollar or multi-million-dollar ventures. 2 have been multiple-time winners on the Entrepreneur Franchise 500, with another being a multiple-time honoree on the Inc. 5000 list of fastest-growing businesses in the U.S. Pat now coaches fitness and health entrepreneurs who want to build their own ideal business. So, Pat, welcome to the summit.
Thank you for having me, Bailey.
It's an absolute pleasure. So let's just dive straight into your 30-day plan. During week 1, you discussed taking an inventory of your skills and deciding what niche you want to focus on, then putting together an irresistible offer for that audience, which is what I'd like to focus on first. You say that since you don't have a reputation to fall back on in this scenario, you need to create an irresistible offer, which is just a no-brainer. So could you talk to us a little bit more about that, and specifically what offer you would put together in your 30-day plan?
So when I think about really anybody that we're trying to serve, I mean, they have big pain points, right? They have big needs in most any market. And if you don't have a reputation or a track record to fall back on and use as your, I guess, primary marketing asset, like we had with the assignment, you really need to focus even more on that big problem or pain point. So the direction I took is very close to what I do now, right? Working with fitness business owners. And so with them, really the biggest, most acute pain point that they have is the acquisition of new clients. So, I wanted to focus on coming up with something that was just so powerful that would allow them to bring new clients into their business in a relatively short period of time and absolve them from risk. So I came up with kind of a two-pronged approach, or 2 different offers. One, where I would actually be delivering the results in advance and be paid a percentage of the revenue. Now, I've taken this approach in my own business a number of times through coaching programs, and really in the franchising world, that's largely what my franchises were based on, a royalty, so pay for performance. And then the second was a fully guaranteed offer where they'd get their money back if we didn't hit a particular benchmark as far as revenue or new client improvement. So in either case, trying to address that biggest need, that biggest, most visible, visceral pain point they have, and then trying to make it such a no-brainer for them that, there's no risk on their part to enlist me to help them reach their goals.
Okay, that makes a ton of sense. Now, in your 30-day plan, you mentioned offering free 1-hour coaching calls to get people on the phone with you. So what is the process that you're using to ultimately get these leads into these calls?
Well, the way that we approached it in the 30-day process was originally starting with kind of the low-hanging fruit. Since there wasn't really a budget to work with or anything like that, reaching out to people that I know, reaching out to people who I might have as contacts, be it, in my phone, in my email database, in my Facebook or LinkedIn contact list. So really just reaching out to what I call that master connection list. And usually, in most instances, whenever I've taught my clients to do this, I know when I've done iterations of it myself, we've been able to get a pretty good number of responses, especially because, if you're offering something that's free that has a high perceived value, we're actually going to be delivering something useful, a genuine coaching call, then, again, there's not much risk on their part. If I have a pre-existing relationship with them at all, I should be able to get them on the phone and or get them on a video conference and really deliver some value and build a little bit of relationship equity.
You also mentioned in your 30-day plan creating a short application video funnel. So I was wondering if you could talk to us about that.
Yeah, once you get over the hump where you actually have some traffic coming in, where you can pay to get leads instead of having to take the grassroots approach. Well, obviously, higher volume of leads, we want to make sure that we're using the time that we have and we're getting on the phone and coaching somebody up wisely. So creating a funnel where there's a master class or a webinar to build value in advance, to deliver some results in advance, but to also vet people that aren't particularly serious at this point in time, or they're just not ready to move forward in a coaching process. If they're not gonna to work their way through the video, then odds are they're probably not going to show up for the call. Then I'm allocating that block of time for somebody who I could be redistributing it to somebody else who is more interested.
Okay, makes a ton of sense. Now, in your 30-day plan, you say that mining your own network is a fantastic start, but by the end of week 2, you really want to start focusing on creating your own list so that you can funnel them through this application as well. And so, therefore, you would put some effort into writing a small book as a free lead magnet. However, you specify in your 30-day plan that you have a pretty simple process for creating this book that actually doesn't involve any writing at all. And I was wondering if you could talk to us more about that.
So, as you guys well know, a book funnel can be a really valuable asset. And I've had the good fortune to author or co-author 14 different books at this point. And sometimes the thought of actually sitting down, pen to paper or hands to keyboard is daunting. So the easiest way somebody can put together a small, high value asset, a small booklet would be to simply outline, the 3, 4, 5 biggest needs, a handful of things that your client would want to know that really align with what you want to deliver, that big pain point that we talked about. And then, so if we've got, maybe 3 core talking points and then 3, I guess what we'd call sub-chapters or something like that. Then it's as simple as really hopping on a call like this and talking, having it transcribed, and now you've got the raw material that you can edit and shape into something valuable. Because, at the end of the day, with a book funnel, if you're delivering something that's going to help somebody reach their goals, and if you've got, a solid looking cover with a compelling headline that gets somebody's attention, that person's raising their hand and saying, hey, I want help in this area. A lot of times they won't even read the book. They're more interested in the outcome of getting the book. So if the easiest way to help them is to, okay, you've raised your hand, you're interested in the book. Now let's get on a call where I can actually help you and customize the solution to you, even better.
Absolutely. So I was wondering if you could detail a little bit more about the long-term strategy involved with this book, because in your plan, you talk a lot about how in the beginning you would offer some free PDF copies, but then eventually down the line, you're working towards a physical copy. So could you describe to us a little bit more about the strategy here?
Yeah. So again, strategically for me, the book is a means of getting somebody to first and foremost raise their hand and say, I'm interested in solving this problem, or I want help in this particular area. So if I've got a book that says how to get 100 clients in the next 3 months, well, then I'm basically, if I download the book, I know that person finds that to be compelling. They find that to be interesting. So I'm going to start with that. If the easiest way to get them to raise their hand is a free PDF, great, but I can also recycle this in a variety of ways. I can use it as a tool to get me on podcasts as an expert in that particular field, because as we talked about in this 30-day exercise, I may not have that reputation in the market where I can get out there and share my expertise on other people's platforms. But the book is that tool that, we've seen so often. I mean, the old adage is, he or she wrote the book on that, right? So I have this asset now that I can use as a tool to potentially get me the opportunity to guest post places, the opportunity to be a guest on podcast, to be a guest on, interview series, anything like that. But then turning it into a hard copy book and doing a free plus shipping offer, now I'm vetting those people a little bit more upfront, because now they're not just downloading something that's free. They're actually having to make a small investment. Now that investment might be $4.95, $7.95, something really, really small in the whole scheme of things, but it's making them actually stop and say, okay, I've got to get my credit card out now. So I am truly interested in this. And so it's going to get a higher quality of lead than just the typical free offer.
Absolutely. So, down the line, as you get this free plus shipping funnel up, you're still mining your own network, perhaps even running some ads. You start to bring in a lot of leads through your program, and eventually maybe even starting to get a little bit overwhelmed and have too many clients that you can't work with one-on-one anymore. So you start to talk about in week 4, shifting your strategy a little bit in order to scale, because this one-on-one model isn't going to keep working in the long term. So what is it then that you decide to do?
Well, really, it falls in line with what I do in my current business, and I put together a mastermind group where I can do 1 to several coaching, be it in a virtual environment, or integrating in 3 live meetings annually. Now, still, people are going to in the format that we talked about in the mastermind group there. They're going to have some one-on-one access to me, be it over the phone or Voxer or something like that. But because we have those crowdsourced environments, it cuts down the amount of one-on-one time you have to provide to somebody. Plus, they're sharing best practices as well. And that really can create a lot more leverage. And in many cases, it allows for an even better outcome for the people involved.
Definitely. So one of the final things that you mentioned during week 4, towards the end of your 30-day plan, is how you would actually set up a webinar. And I was wondering if you could share with us a little bit more about that. Are you trying to get people from the webinar onto your mastermind, or is it something else? What's the strategy here?
Well, the webinar at that point is really about vetting people for the mastermind to pre-qualify them, I guess, so that again, there's only so much of me to go around in this scenario, and I don't have a team around me. So how can I get somebody to really raise their hand and say, no, I'm really ready right now. I'm not just interested, but I'm ready. And so the person that goes through the webinar, they're obviously being pre-sold, because there's some social proof, there's some value building, there's certainly problem building. But if they've made it through the webinar and they're saying, yes, I'm going to fill in the form now and everything else, they've gotten through a lot of that preliminary stuff that would have to have done in the earlier part of the 30 days over the phone. And, they're in all likelihood a much more ready prospect.
Pat, what I really love about your 30-day plan is how incredibly systemic it is. Anybody can follow it, and it's really based upon solid business principles that we've seen produce results over and over again. I'd love to ask you if you have any final thoughts to share with our audience about your plan that I may not already have asked you.
Well, the only thing that we didn't touch on that I think is kind of the undercurrent of a lot of it is the daily email that I mentioned that I would send out, because I know that for me, that daily communication, it really maximizes the value of the relationship for each of those leads. So if you don't have a lot of people in your audience, if you don't have a big list, then the strength in the relationship with those lists it's such a big deal. And so if I'm getting people who have said, hey, I'm interested, but maybe I'm not ready right now for that type of commitment or that type of intense level of coaching or masterminding, well, if I'm continuing to build a relationship with them and they are ready, when that time comes, there's a much higher likelihood they're going to choose me than one of the random people they might encounter on a Facebook ad or something like that.
Absolutely. Pat, thank you so much for being a part of the summit. We really do appreciate it, and for sharing all of the value that you have today. For those of you watching at home who are feeling like you are ready to embark on your own 30-day path to success, I have something awesome to tell you about. It's called the One Funnel Away Challenge. You can learn more and upgrade today by clicking the button on this page. And when you do, you're giving yourself an opportunity to work directly with a ClickFunnels 2 Club coach to craft your own customized and personalized 30-day path to success and getting that next award-winning funnel launched. But that's not all you'll be receiving when you upgrade. You're also going to snag some incredible bonuses, like a physical copy of the 30-day summit book, where we've compiled together all of the written plans from each one of the summit speakers on this event. You're also going to get unlimited access to watch the interview that you just saw with Pat, and of course all of the other summit speakers on this event. And my favorite part, you're going to be getting a second behind the scenes interview that I've recorded with every single summit speaker, where they're going to be showing me via screen share how it is that they've actually set up their award-winning 2 Comma Club funnels. Truly, the value in those videos is out of this world, and I don't want you to miss out on it. So make sure that you click the button and upgrade today to join the One Funnel Away Challenge. And one more time, Pat, thank you so much for being a part of the summit. We really appreciate it.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, and I'm excited to be able to share.